You know, there was a time in my life that I would get really insecure about speaking English. Whenever the opportunity came or the moment came up for me to talk in English with somebody else, I'd get really nervous. My back would get really tense. I'd feel all this anxiety, feel really anxious. All because I'd get into this performance mode. Like it was time for me to perform. I mean, I had a lot of knowledge of English and I could understand a lot of what I was hearing. I knew a bunch of words, but still, I would just feel under pressure in these moments. Alright, so later on, I kept thinking about this, and I identified 6 things that were causing me to freeze and feel nervous when it was time for me to speak English. And this is what Ksenia and I covered in today's lesson. I had such a great time. It was a really fun conversation talking all about these 6 bad habits, these 6 things that are stopping you from speaking English fluently today. Let's get into it. All right, Ksenia. So I want to start today's lesson by sharing what I think is a little bit of a controversial remark.
Okay. What is a controversial remark?
So there's 2 words there. Controversial refers to something that produces controversy, that produces disagreement, debate, arguments. And remark is simply a statement, something you say as a comment. So yeah, I think this is a controversial remark because we always hear that confidence is important, like should be confident and all that. But I have come to accept, after fighting it so much, that confidence is overrated. At least the way people think about confidence. It's overrated.
I would be curious to find out how you came to it, but could you also define the word overrated? So you said confidence is overrated.
When something is considered to be more important than it actually is, or to be better than it actually is, we say that it's overrated. I think something overrated. Like I could say that, tacos are overrated, the Mexican food.
No way. I love tacos.
Right.
Okay.
But I think think it's just better than it is.
It's just like from the word rate, there is this root rate to evaluate something, and overrate is just like evaluate it more than it actually is.
Yeah, exactly. Now, to actually explain why I think this is the case, I brought a clip that we have shown in this podcast months ago, and it was like lost in the middle of the lesson. And today I want to start this lesson with this message because I think it's really important. It has changed my life since I've heard it, and I've really made it one of my philosophies of life. So I want to share it here right now. So let's check it out.
Confidence is overrated. I learned this from Dani Shapiro, the great writer. We were talking about confidence, and she was like, confidence is really overrated. And I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, most confident people, like overly confident people are kind of obnoxious. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. Usually they're compensating. She said, what's more important than confidence is courage. And I was like, oh my God. Confidence is created from repetitive success at doing something. You know you're going to get the ball in the basket. You have confidence shooting. When I meet with a client and talk about how we're going to reposition their brand, I've got confidence. I have all of that stuff that I've been doing over and over and over again that's been successful that I can pull out of the suitcase and say, that's why I believe that I'm right. If you haven't done something before, how could you ever expect to have confidence doing it? Confidence comes after you've done it enough times successfully. So what's more important is courage. Courage to take the first step before you have the success.
Oh, this is huge. Really nice. Did she say the word obnoxious at the very beginning? Was that obnoxious?
Yeah, she said that people who are overly confident kind of come off as obnoxious. They're kind of obnoxious. What is that?
That's a nice advanced word. Yeah, it means a rude, arrogant person.
So yeah, that, by the way, was Debbie Millman. She is a writer and educator on all things marketing. She's an expert on marketing. And it's interesting that what she was talking about there, because I think it is not just about life in general, but when it comes to language learning, this is so important. And today we're going to cover these 6 things that you guys should not do when you speak English. And this is huge. I wanted to start this lesson with this clip because I really think it serves as a foundation for everything that we're going to see next. And I don't know if you guys noticed, there were so many advanced words here that we just used, right? Obnoxious, as she used. What else? Overrated.
Controversial remark.
So if you guys don't want to forget these words when you're done watching this lesson, and if you really want to be able to use these later in real conversations in English, you should make sure to download the Real Life app, because you can watch this lesson over there. And then once you're done watching the lesson, you can practice all the vocabulary so you never forget it. We're going to leave the link in the description below, or you can simply search for Real Life English on your favorite app store.
Nice. You know what else this short clip reminded me of? This saying, I guess the transformed version of this saying, like practice makes perfect. But there is this new version, practice makes confident, right? That's what she was talking about.
Yeah. Practice makes automatic, right? Like you don't necessarily want to be perfect, because it's not about not making mistakes. It's just about having that natural capacity to communicate. So let's get started with the very first thing that you should not do when speaking English, that you should not be ashamed of speaking English.
So all about not being ashamed, not feeling embarrassed when you speak. This is something we hear a lot from our students. Yeah. Oh, help me. How should I, or what can I do to stop feeling embarrassed, feeling ashamed when speaking English? I would say that you should try to find a way to turn your weakness. Yeah, feeling of shame is kind of a weakness. So turn your weakness into your strength. Now, instead of feeling ashamed or of making mistakes, of speaking with someone in English, take pride in this simple fact that you are learning a foreign language, right? Like it's already a really great venture. You decided to step on this path of learning a foreign language and enjoy the process, even if it's not flawless. It reminds me of... remember, I think I told you recently, I just tried roller skating for the first time. And I could have felt, self-conscious. I could have thought, oh my God, everybody would be laughing at me if I fall, because there were different levels of people. There were like masters of the rink and novices like me. And we can have a comparison here, like advanced English speakers, yeah, advanced learners, and some intermediate or even lower intermediate speakers. But of course, I had this fear. I was hesitant at first, but then I didn't let that fear take hold of me. Instead, what I did, like I was there with my kid, and I knew that she will be thrilled to see her mama trying. Yeah, I wasn't perfect, but I tried to enjoy the process, and I knew that my little kid will be so overjoyed, like with me trying to do what she can do really great. She like roller skates so much better. So make it fun. Take this approach to language learning process. Yeah, just enjoy the process no matter what. There is nothing to be ashamed of.
Amazing. And use several expressions there, like more advanced expressions. I was going to ask about them, but honestly, there are so many. And again, if you guys listening, watching us, if you don't want to miss the meaning of these, and if you want to practice them later, go to the Real Life app. That's a place where you can do that. But I do want to talk about one expression that you use, which is thrilled, that you were thrilled to do that. What is that? And where do you think this thrill comes from in that experience?
Okay. That's a nice expression to use when you feel that excitement. So thrilled is overly excited. And I don't know, but I somehow connected to some feeling of some magic even. So you are so thrilled that you feel like kind of goosebumps even, right?
Yeah, like the hair in your arm like kind of raises like goosebumps. And I would say this is almost like a mindset, because you can either feel like embarrassed or ashamed or nervous, or you can feel excited. It's almost the same sensation, or some people would say, some specialists, experts would say it's the same sensation that you feel, but you can change the narrative, what you're thinking, say, I'm excited, I'm excited to speak. And something else I was going to say about this that I think is really important is that if you don't practice, you won't improve. Like languages, playing guitar, and other different practices like playing sports, you're not going to get better theoretically. You need to practice. You need to live a real life English. and to be active in the language and to be really connecting with it personally so you can actually improve. And there's no other way around it. So speak, practice, 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 and ignore the feeling of shame. And then you're going to start to feel confidence as a byproduct of that experience.
Yeah, confidence will come with time, right? And with practice.
Do you know what a byproduct is in this?
That's a nice word, right? Byproduct is just like something that comes with something else, like accompany something. It accompanies your progress. So confidence in this case just accompanies your development.
Yeah, it's like almost like generated as a consequence. You were not actually looking for that, but then you practice and then, oh, look at that. I have confidence now. So yeah, be courageous and take courageous steps towards English fluency. And one courageous step that you can take today, right now, is subscribing to this channel if you're watching this on YouTube. If you want to speak natural English like 𝗥𝗲 and I are doing here, and if you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you can follow us over there. Now let's go to the second thing that you should not do when speaking English, that is being afraid of making mistakes. It's kind of similar and almost like a reason. I think people feel ashamed, they feel nervous because they are afraid of making mistakes.
That's exactly it. Yeah, that's exactly it. I feel the same. I think that this embarrassment comes for most people. We can dig deeper and think about, oh, but why are you feeling ashamed? Why are you feeling embarrassed? Yeah, but it's a totally different topic. And I believe we wrote an article on that, so we could link it for you guys to check. But yeah, let's talk about this fear of making mistakes. As the saying goes, to err is human. Right. And just to bring you another quote, which I find really inspiring, it is from Thomas Edison. And he said, "I haven't failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Right. It's on his reflection on the invention of the light bulb. We know Thomas Edison for that mostly. And you know what? Like, we all make mistakes, and it's just like a part of a natural process of learning. And I wanted, because Thomas Edison might not be an inspiring figure for many young learners here we have on our channel, but Harry Potter is, right? And I just wanted to remind you guys, do you remember from the book or from the movie, how it's called, Prisoner of Azkaban? The Prisoner of Azkaban, where Harry... Your favorite? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Many people's favorite.
So you should remember that. Remember when Harry struggled to master that very complex spell, but Patronus, I guess, right?
Yeah. Expecto Patronum.
Yeah, and it was very demanding because it required like a focus, like concentration on a happy memory. And when he tried it for the very first time in the class, like, he failed miserably, right? But then, like, he didn't lose his heart. He didn't give up. He tried and tried again. He kept practicing. And despite, like, repeated failures, he found a way. He kept experimenting. He just realized that, oh, I just, need a stronger memory. And it was, related to his parents, remember? So here, what we can learn from that, first of all, he had a very strong why. He wanted to protect himself and his friends from those dementors, right? And there were other factors as well that we can take into our learning process. He had a strong community, his friends, people who believed in him, right? And he really was courageous, like in that clip that you just showed, yeah? The takeaway here is, don't be afraid of making mistakes at the beginning. You will master it with practice, with more attempts, and you will eventually get there.
Yeah, like we talked about, practice makes automatic or practice makes perfect, as some people say it. It really takes you to mastery. So he eventually mastered with the help of community, with the help of his friends, and practice too. I think he practiced a lot. The movie shows that. So that is so nice because, and ultimately, because he makes a lot of mistakes in the beginning, to err is human, as you said. There was a quote they shared. And what is that, to err?
You may know the word error. Our students may be familiar with the word error, mistake. So to err is to make mistakes. It's just like a nice formal word to make mistakes.
You know what? For you guys listening, watching us, Ethan is here in the studio. He just told me that the correct pronunciation for that is air, to air. So there you go. I just made a mistake.
I stand corrected. Okay, we should practice it more with you. To err is human. To err is human.
Err is human.
I just made a mistake and I won't apologize for it because that's the third mistake students do. They often apologize for their level of English or how they say, sorry for my bad English, right? Have you heard it a lot from your students?
I honestly hate it. I'm sorry for you guys who say it. Stop saying it because that's not going to take you anywhere, really. And people say that, it almost becomes like a negative affirmation, if that's even a thing. Actually, that sounds like an oxymoron. Do you know what an oxymoron is? Like
it's difficult to explain that. Can you explain that?
Yeah. Okay. So it's when there's like two words that they contradict each other, but somehow it still makes sense. Like a lot of oxymorons are usable. So old news, right? Or deafening silence, or even what this also becomes, like if you are saying, sorry for my bad English, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's another oxymoron. But what is that? What is a self-fulfilling prophecy? How would you explain that expression?
I'll try. I'll give it a shot to explain this phrase. So when you say something, it could have happened differently, but just because of the fact that you said it, you could paved the way for this to happen. So it happened so just because you said so, right?
Exactly, yeah. It's a negative affirmation. Affirmations are something that people say, to just start to build that mindset, like you saying something positive about yourself, something about the way you want to see the world. But if you're saying, sorry for my bad English, you're saying my bad English. I have bad English, and that doesn't lead you anywhere. And natives don't care. Like, honestly, this reminds me of a story from our producer here in the studio, Ice T. I see him somewhere in here. That he was in a hostel in Lisbon once, and he was there with an American that was staying in the hostel with him, and they were speaking English, and then T kept saying, sorry for my bad English. And the American guy said to him, what are you talking about? Like, if you weren't speaking English, we couldn't communicate at all. We wouldn't be able to communicate at all. So I'm grateful that you can speak some English, and that's what language is meant for communication. So there you go, right?
Yeah, I don't know if that was the case for Thiago, but many people, they, again, coming back to feeling embarrassed, they have this fear of being judged by other people. So that this is the root cause for all those unnecessary apologies, in my opinion. And in life, there are so few situations when you are being judged. Like, for example, when we were about to hire a tutor to help me prepare for the entrance exam, that was the situation when my English level was evaluated, because she needed to see the work to be done, right? So I remember, like, again, it was a complete flop. Like, I didn't answer correctly to any of your questions, grammar questions. But again, exams, like hiring a tutor and maybe some other academic settings, are the only situations when your level of English is really being judged. All others, like when you use English as a communication with non-natives or with natives, nobody is judging you. You are your own harshest critic in this case, right?
That's what fluency is too, right? Like, it's just like flowing. Like, if you hit a wall, like, do like water, like flow around it and find out a way to say what you want to say, even if it doesn't sound beautiful like a professor would say it. Now, I think mistakes are funny too. They can be funny, right? Like, why take it so seriously? Like, the value of silliness, being silly, not taking things seriously, is very important for, I mentioned, not just learning language, but if you're trying to play an instrument, play sports. Like, if you get tense, that's going to be another self-fulfilling prophecy there in your mind. Like, oh, I'm tense. This is serious. This is important. And then that's why you fail. So to prove that mistakes are funny or can be funny, I actually have some images here that I wanted to share. And if you guys are just listening to us, I'm sorry. We can read, but this is funnier if you're actually watching us. So do that on our RealLife app. Get the link in the description. Check this out, Ksenia. Okay, these are real signs and things. Check it out. Very suspicious market. Supermarket. Do you know what they wanted to say there, actually? instead of
very suspicious. Maybe very like you can easily notice it. Maybe something like
very
that.
auspicious, I think.
Auspicious. What does it mean, auspicious?
Yeah, so auspicious is when it's promising, it's going to give you success, like you feel optimistic about something, that thing is auspicious. Now, next one. The cost of the service is the soul. I don't know what they wanted to say here. But see, these are mistakes. These are people who are not... These are people who don't have English as their first language, but it's just funny.
Yeah. I know why there is this soul, because it's just like Google Translate made a silly mistake. It was supposed to be shower, the cost of a shower.
There we go. Christmas bag of threats, of treats, right?
Yeah,
so have Christmas treats. Yeah, threats.
And
what is
Christmas
a threat?
threats. When you threat somebody, you say that you'll do something bad to them if they don't comply with what you're asking, if they don't do what you are asking.
All right, next one. Pineapple.
Oh, that's one funny.
It's a pain.
It's
if you don't like pineapple. It is forbidden to upload and download fish.
Oh my God.
That's just like catch and release fish, right? It just sounds like digital stuff, right? Downloading a file. Caesar salad. That's actually kind of negative, but still sounds.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what that should be, actually? It's more cultural.
Maybe no, I don't know. Caesar salad. What it was
about
supposed
Caesar
to be?
salad.
Oh, Caesar. Okay. Yeah, Caesar salad. Yeah, I know that salad.
All right, how about this one? Eating carpet is strictly prohibited. No idea.
What was eating carpet?
Please pay your parking fee before existing. It's exiting. Right?
Exiting.
It's just a verb to leave a place. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so mistakes can be funny and you can laugh at them. Like, don't take it too seriously, right? Don't think like, my image of a perfect speaker, I want to speak English perfectly. Don't let that get to you.
Mm-hmm. I still remember that mistake that I was sharing on an older podcast here with Ethan. Once at the speaking club, I asked a girl, which part of Leonardo DiCaprio do you like most? And she's got a beautiful sense of humor. She said, all of him. And then I realized that it's not a mistake. It's just like, I structured the question the wrong way, right?
Yeah. Part as a role. In one, his role in one of the movies. Anyway, so let's go to the next thing that you guys should not do when speaking English. That is to compare yourself with other English speakers. Now, this is kind of related to what we were just talking about. I think people say, sorry if I'm a bad English because they have some good English speaker in mind and they keep comparing themselves to that person. But the thing is, everybody has their own journey and you need to be vulnerable. There's no way around it. Like if you're not vulnerable, if you don't accept who you are, I do think that you're not going to go anywhere. So that thing about ego, I think, is really important for language learning.
Yeah, I just thought about it as well. It reminded me of this book, Ego is the Enemy. Because it not only it adds some competitive spirit to it. In some situations, it can be good, but in most of the cases, it's not. So just be human, be humble. I don't know why people are so prone to comparing each other in many situations, not only in language learning. And it is so sad. Recently, we were reading with Mira Dr. Seuss. And I really loved the quote from the book. It goes like, why fit in if you were born to stand out, right? So when we try to compare, maybe we try to fit in to be like other people, it doesn't make us any favor, like it doesn't make us any good. Why not embracing your uniqueness, even if it's an accent?
That is so nice. Like to stand out is to appear, usually on a more positive light. Like people see you and like, he stands out. He's good, right? Better than the average, you could say. And there's another quote that's really nice from Oscar Wilde. I think that's how I pronounce it. that is be yourself. Everyone else is taken.
I love this one.
Like, I want to be this person. Like, no, be yourself. You can have role models, and that's fine. But be yourself ultimately. And I think just one more thing about this thing not to do, to not compare yourself to others, is if you don't know how to do something, if you're not great at doing something, that's a good thing. You can, again, have role models, but there's two ways of interpreting this same sentence. Oh, I don't know how to do it. You can say it like that. I don't know how to do it. Or you can say like, I don't know how to do it. It's great. I can learn it. It's one more thing to learn. And it's just having that curiosity. One really important aspect of language learning, be curious. And that's going to open up a world of possible things for you to practice.
It gives you so many opportunities. Like, remember we were discussing Simon Sinek video in one of our earlier podcasts when he was talking about friendships. It's just like when you don't know how to do that, show your vulnerability, ask your friend to help you out. Maybe they know how to do that. And it like immediately it gives you this opportunity for connection. And then you learn something with the help of your friends.
Yeah, because English is a tool for communication. So it's going to be very hard for you not to bump into awkward situations like funny English mistakes or people judging you. Maybe, that could happen. And like, just ignore it. And that's one thing that may happen is like if somebody doesn't understand what you're saying and they judge you for any reason, or they simply don't understand, don't take that personally. That is the fifth thing that we're bringing here for you not to do when speaking English. Don't take things personally if people don't understand you. Some people are not used to your accent. Some people are not used to speaking with learners.
That's true. And again, it's coming back to not being too harsh on yourself, because like the default behavior here is to think that you said something wrong, but maybe it's not you, right? Maybe another person didn't know this word, or they like didn't tune their ear to your accent, right?
And even celebrities, they sometimes say things that, they're misunderstood, and they don't care, like if the other person doesn't understand them, they will find another way to say it, and they just have fun with English. Oftentimes because the other person doesn't speak their native language. So I have a story here that I just thought was really funny. I don't know if it's a real story. That is from the Prime Minister of Japan, the highest authority in Japan, and Barack Obama, the former president of the United States. So the Prime Minister went to meet Barack Obama, and he was instructed to say, "How are you?" And then he was told that Obama would respond, "I'm fine, and you?" And he would say back, "Me too." That was all. And then they would start speaking their own languages, and the translators would take action. So when it was finally time to meet with Obama, the Prime Minister said, instead of saying how, he said who. He doesn't speak any English. He was just saying words. But then he said, "Who are you?" And Barack was "I'm Michelle's husband." And then the Prime Minister responded, "Me too."
Oh my God. I don't know if that's real, but if it's a real story, it's just like a gem.
It's gotta be, right? So whatever, this produces a funny story. It's not like Barack Obama will be offended, right? He knows you're a language learner. He doesn't speak Japanese. He's just glad that he's having a good time, right?
That's
and if he doesn't,
hilarious.
and if he's not having a good time, man, that person is a douche. Like, ignore them. Right.
The situation could have turned completely differently, right? If Barack Obama took it like seriously, right? Or if the Japanese Prime Minister,
or that
got stuck.
All right, I just spilled water on myself here. Let's ignore that. It's funny. It's awkward, but it does have to be awkward. Now, you do want to understand others and you want to be understood, but that takes time. So if you're watching these lessons and you're learning passively just by absorbing all these words you're saying, and then later on you're activating by doing the vocabulary practice, it's going to be great for you, because then you're not going to get yourself in situations like you are misunderstood. So I actually saw a message from one of our learners, one of the users of the app, that they were talking exactly about this.
Okay, so it's time to shout out our learner of the week. And this week, we got 5 stars from Renee Ramos. And they write, "I really like the application because you learn vocabulary and expressions that native English speakers really use. Plus, the explanation Any exercises are very good. It is very worth it.
Very worth it. What is that when something is worth it?
It is worth your time and attention. This is something valuable.
Like you spend time and then you're like, this was good. It was a good investment of time or money.
Exactly.
Or energy, right? It's worth it. Amazing. So guys, again, do it just like Renee and practice vocabulary with this lesson on the app. I've been saying that a lot, but it really is like something that I did in the past. I didn't have the app. If I did back then, I would definitely use it. But what I would do is it was very similar to the way learners get to use the app and do it today. That is, you consume a piece of media, this podcast in this case, which is great because it's full of vocabulary. And then you can practice with flashcards. Now, flashcards, they basically contain an image, an illustration of that image, a sentence example, a definition, containing the meaning of that expression. And it's great for you to practice because you're challenging yourself to see whether or not you remember. And then if you don't remember, the app will automatically save that for you to review that later. And by doing this repetition, which is actually scientifically called spaced repetition, it's a methodology for acquiring new vocabulary. By doing this, it's guaranteed that you're going to expand your active vocabulary, the words that you're actually able to use in real conversations so you can express yourself. So do it just like Renee and download the app now. All right, Xenia, so let's wrap this up with our final tip of things you guys should not do when you speak English. That is, do not get frustrated with yourself. How does that work? How does that frustration happen?
That's a tricky one, Easy. I'm still getting frustrated with myself, even on this podcast. So that's something I'm currently fighting with, I would say. And I should say that, frustration is such a huge part of our life, not only of language learning. Like, remember our conversation about me trying to learn how to drive?
Yeah,
it's a total frustration.
I felt your frustration with your deep breathing there. It's like
that was frustration. That was it, guys. I feel you. It's just like not learning English is learning to drive. I can do this, but not making it a self-fulfilling prophecy by saying I can do this. I should, work on my mindset. Just saying that, okay, just give it a little bit more love. Give it a little more practice. Give it a little more time, right? But that's challenging.
Yeah, just keep practicing because it is just like playing an instrument, learning a language, driving. The more you practice, the more it becomes automatic, the more you feel more confident.
I start and quit. So it's like a love and hate relationship with driving lessons for me.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean you're not smart, right?
That's it. That's a very good point. Again, drawing parallels with learning English. Like if you can't do it like quick enough, again, not comparing with others, but if you saw your friend like learning it much faster than you, it doesn't mean anything. You're two different people, right?
It does not. Like people from 12 to 95 speak English, actually much younger people. It's not about how smart those people are or how difficult English is. Because everybody speaks it who are natives. And you speak your own native language. It just takes time. So be patient. I think patience, we talked about silliness as a value even. Now let me talk about patience. There's a prayer called the Serenity Prayer, which I think is not so religious. It's actually just great piece of wisdom that goes like this. Like, please grant me serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference.
I love it.
Heard that
love it. I've heard it and I love it very much. And it again brings us back to the very beginning. We started with courage. It also says, be courageous. Yeah, or give me courage to change the things I can. So I believe that's a beautiful way to end today's episode, guys. Be patient with yourself and have courage with all the ventures in your life.
So recapping, just looking again at all those things you guys should not do. So the first thing is don't be ashamed to speak. Practice, practice, practice. There's no way around it. Embrace it. Second thing is don't be afraid of making mistakes. Mistakes are part of the process. Actually, it's good if you make mistakes. It's not like there's a high risk situation like driving. In the case of driving, you don't want to make so many mistakes, but still you should be able to not think about them so much. But in the case of English, don't worry about making mistakes. It can be funny even. Third thing is don't apologize for your level. That could be a self-fulfilling prophecy. You could be just creating a narrative for yourself and getting stuck in it. And people don't care. Natives don't mind if you make mistakes. And they actually, what they do care is that if you keep saying, sorry for my bad English, that, keeps interrupting the flow of the conversation. The next thing that you should not do is don't compare yourself to others when you speak English. You have your own journey. So remember, be yourself. Everyone else is taken. The next thing that you should not do is don't take things personally if people don't understand you, because maybe the problem is with them. Like maybe they don't actually have the experience of speaking with learners. Now, you should be responsible for your own ability to communicate, to express your own ideas and to express yourself. But again, you have your own process. Now that links very nicely with the last tip. Now, that is, you shouldn't take it personally because it takes time. Don't get frustrated with yourself. It takes time. Be patient. So there you go. These are the 6 things that you guys should not do when speaking English.
And what you should do is just speak more, right? Speak more, practice more.
Yeah, keep living your English.
And guys, if you're enjoying and learning a lot with these lessons, please support us. And a free way for you to do that is to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell down below. Also give this video a like because it really helps to see YouTube that you found this lesson valuable and other learners would be able to find these lessons easier. And if you are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any other streaming platforms, please follow us there as well and give us a 5-star review because again, it goes a long way to help other learners take their English to the next level with us. Finally, if you are not watching this on our Real Life English app, what are you waiting for? This is the best way to gain confident, natural English with these lessons. So go and download it now. The link to get this lesson for free is in the description under this video.
Yeah. Now, Ksenia, thank you so much for joining me today. This was a lot of fun. And for all of you guys watching us and listening to us, remember that no matter what divides us, that which unites us is far greater. 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Today I'm going to be speaking with 𝗥𝗲𝗹𝗟𝗶𝗳𝗏, my Brazilian co-host on this podcast, about his very own hero's journey to achieve his dream of living in the United States. We've covered a lot in this lesson, but mainly you're going to learn about how he became fluent alone, and here comes the main part, before going to the United States. We will also hear about his experiences at his job, what exactly he did there.